Cricket-wise, Joe Root has been chatting to the press and ruling himself out of coming to white ball captain again. It's been about a month since Jos Buttler stood down, and there's been no sort of move yet. I mean, what about the idea of Ben Stokes doing both? That's been suggested. That's a good idea, Harmy, or not?
Yeah, I flip-flop on that one. I wake up one morning and think it'd be a great idea for Ben to do the lot. The other part of me goes, I just worry about his body. He's twice done his hamstring now on his short. He did his hamstring trying to take a single in a short format game for the Superchargers in 100, and then he did it while bowling a lengthy spell in New Zealand. We've got 10 test matches. Me personally, if it was me making the decision, I wouldn't name a white ball captain until after the Ashes. I'd let everything die down. A lot of the contracts are up at the end of the Ashes. So the Mark Wood one, the Mark Wood bracket of Wood, Brook, Root, there's one other in that, the 3 years that came out, they're up. The Stokes is the 2-year contracts. The Stokes ones will come to an end, so it'll be a starting of new. I would pick a 15-man squad for the series, the white ball series in England this year, the 2 or 3 series that they've got, and pick a captain from there, like we did last year with Harry Brook. Get us to the end of the Ashes, then you can have a conversation with Ben Stokes and say where you're at. Where's your body at? Where do you feel as though you could go? And if it is positive, Ben can take all 3 on for a year or 2, or tournaments. Then I think that's the way I would go down. So whoever captains the team necessarily, it's the management that sets the structure, and it's McCullum. So I wouldn't jeopardise England's 5 test matches against India and 5 test matches against Australia by complicating the matter of having a Harry Brook or a Ben Stokes as a white ball captain. I'd leave them well alone and then potentially pick. If it's not Stokes, it will be Brook. And if it's Brook, we don't know. Come the end of the Ashes, Harry Brook might be England captain all formats, because if England lose the Ashes,
ruin his batting.
Yeah, possibly. But it might inspire him to sort of lead from the front.
Tends not to.
We could get to an Ashes series where Ben Stokes' body lets him down properly, and that might be the end from him in international cricket. So we might be in a position where Harry Brook takes over the full lot. But I would want to wait. I don't think that will happen. I'm seeing a lot of Ben Stokes on social media, and he looks fighting fit.
He looks fit. Yeah,
he looks fit and strong. So mentally, he'd be in a great space. I can't wait for this summer because it's going to be great. And I think we've just done a podcast downstairs with Jarrod Kimber and John Norman, and talking about people who will be feared from, who the opposition fear this summer. And yes, obvious answer is Root, but I think if Ben Stokes has a good summer, I mean, if Ben Stokes has a good 9 months, England could beat India and could beat Australia, and I think he's hugely pivotal, and I think his fitness is hugely pivotal, and I think because of that, I wouldn't want to complicate the matter with throwing the white ball.
His captaincy is very important,
massively important, Andy.
To win those Test series, though, we're going to need a fit and firing Jofra Archer, and I'm not sure that being at the IPL is doing him a lot of good. I mean, it's not great. Is
worst figures in IPL history, wasn't it?
76 runs off 4 overs. I'm not sure that's going to do him a lot of good.
Yeah, I think I'm quite experienced enough to talk about this subject, because I had the worst figures. I went for 95. I went 95 off 10. So I had the worst figures in international white wearing 50 over cricket for a long time. And I remember during that game it was against Sri Lanka. We got 350 and they got them in 35 overs. I was bowling 95 mile an hour bouncers to Jai Surya, who was hitting me over the Western Terrace. Everything I bowled just went out the ground, because the faster I bowled, the further it went. And I seen bits of that from Jofra the other day, and it was like, I'm not saying he didn't bowl badly, because he's gone for 76, but there was only 2 or 3 balls. The first ball of the last over, which the head-high full toss, was one he would like back, but there was a few balls that you were thinking, right, I mean, he's executed that perfectly. He's got it at 90 odd mile an hour. The problem I think with Jofra at the minute is just a little bit of crisis of confidence, that they've thrown him back into the cauldron of white ball cricket. All the batters are coming at him, and I still don't think he's got that zip, that snap back from the elbow injury he's got, and he's not variation, so he's off cutter that he had, which was beautifully before he got the injury to the elbow. It's not coming out with anything on it, so I think because of that, and he's not been able to execute it, he's going for runs, pace on the ball, and I think because of that, I think he's just suffering a little bit of crisis of confidence. But I think he'll be ready. Hopefully, the more he bowls, the better he'll get for the summer, and I think if England want to win, they need Joff to be right on it.
Just very quickly, who took that unwanted record off you? Were you willing them to do?
It was Mick Lewis, I think, in South Africa, in that famous Australia game against South Africa when South Africa beat them, chasing 440, and then I think Adam Zampa went even further. So I think Mick went for 90 odd or 100, and then Zampa went even further. So
must be a joy when that one goes.
It was a really good one. I remember the press conference straight after, because I took it off Derek Pringle, who was writing for one of the papers at the time, and he was one of the first people to ask me a question about passing the baton on. So yes,
very nice.
Yeah.
When's the podcast going up, Harmy? Do you know?
Soon, I would hope.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of stuff that's time sensitive. So I'd imagine it's sometime in the next few days.
Following On Cricket podcast, go and check it out wherever you get your podcasts, and it's available on the talkSPORT app and on the website. Thank you, Harmy. Good to see you.
Boys.
All the best. Steve Harmison there.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.